It's Think Like an Entrepreneur Thursday, and today we're talking about success and how you really need to be careful of how you measure your own success while you're on your entrepreneurship journey. Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Think Like an Entrepreneur. I'm Erin Smith of the Starters Club, and we're talking about topics all around entrepreneurship, how to get your head from an employee to entrepreneur, and how to succeed in business. So welcome. Today we're talking about success. Success. This thing, you guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't want to do this video because I'm going to be open about a few things that I dealt with when it came to building this business. Now, there's beautiful things with the way social media and the web has expanded. Basically, anything that you don't know about, you can go learn about, thanks to Google and YouTube. It's pretty amazing. And social media allows the barrier of entry to pretty much be nothing when it comes to building your own business. Those are the amazing things about being an entrepreneur. But here's the bad part, that you compare yourself to everyone's highlight reel. All right, so you compare yourself to what everybody's wanting you to see how things are going, what everyone's wanting you to think how they're doing, but they feel they have to put on that front because, if they're not successful, who's going to do business with them? And I got sucked into this. I really am embarrassed to admit this. So let me tell you a little bit about my history. Is that I started real estate. Again, I'm not going to tell you I'm like a real estate rock star. I've just used it as a very side thing all these years to build my wealth. And I started a business in pet sitting. That was my very first business. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no intentions of it growing, or it just was a way to actually create more investment money for real estate, and built that up. Figured it out, sold it, did really well with that. Started my next business. A very similar business in the fact that it was a service. I knew a lot of people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It was really easy to build. And so I buckled in, grabbed that, and really grew it fast. Had 7 employees, was all over the Dallas-Fort Worth, was in 6 salons, was making 5 figures within about 9 months. It was incredible. It was incredible. But I had the formula down and basically could just apply it to that. So then came the Starters Club. I thought I had it figured out. I thought I had it completely figured out. And what happened was I was comparing myself to what I felt was where I should be. And I felt I should be the exception to the rule. I felt I should be the rock star because this was my 3rd business. Plus I'd been involved in many other businesses, so I knew what I was doing. So this should have been the easiest, fastest journey for anybody out there, and I wanted to be the exception to the rule. And what I was doing was I was comparing all my success to where I thought I should be, and I was comparing that success to the highlight reels of people. And this is the worst absolute move you can make as an entrepreneur. You have got to be so careful. So here's an example. I launched my very first product within a month of announcing my company. So it was about May 1st, I announced my company. I launched my first product at the end of that month. I really didn't have any customers. I didn't know what I was doing. I did so many things wrong, and I made $6,000. And I was mad about that. I should have done better. I should have had a bigger list. I should have sold more. I'm the exception to the rule. And so I got mad and, made changes. And then I launched another product and was launching it through webinars. And I was getting anywhere from 50 to 100 cold leads on my webinars starting out. I didn't have a list. I was doing this. I was running Facebook ads to get this. Wasn't good enough. And I was mad. And I was, I'd sell several products within each webinar, and I was mad. It wasn't good enough. I wasn't doing things right. And I was judging myself based on everyone else's success when I was doing just fine. And had I kept with that webinar and kept doing it weekly, learning from my clients, learning what they loved about it, what they didn't love about it, making the product better, using their testimonials, kept on that journey, I would have been far better off. But I kept thinking, well, I'm not good enough. And so shifting my business here, well, I got to focus on this. And I dealt with shiny object syndrome, which is a whole nother episode for another time. But you've got to be careful of this because entrepreneurs feel the need to put their best foot forward. Their smile, their clients that are just killing it, all of these different things. If they put the struggles on there, who's going to do business with them, right? So that's what we're dealing with from a mindset, and you have to be extremely careful. First of all, stop trying to be the exception to the rule, okay? That's my number one tip to measure your success. Stop trying to be the exception to the rule. I've talked about this in other videos. There is no one out there, I promise you, who's had overnight success. It takes effort. It takes work. So if you think you're going to be the exception to the rule and you're going to get to speed past all the hard work and effort that it takes to build, just get off the train now, because it's not, you have to put in the work. You've got to build the relationships. You've got to know your client, connect with that client. You've got to consistently be building. So there is work involved, there is hustle involved, and there is no exception to the rule. So you have to measure your success off, this is a long journey. This is a marathon. There is no sprinting involved to get you to success. This is a journey. So that's your first measure. Second, be extremely careful. Be extremely careful of what you see. And like I said, I say this, again, not of judgment, strictly from experience. Do your own thing. I give my kids this advice, and I think all entrepreneurs need to take the same advice. You do you. Worry about what you're doing, worry about where you are, and stop looking sideways at everyone else. That will kill your business because you're never going to be good enough in your eyes. You're never going to be far enough. You're never going to be rich enough because there's always going to be somebody who's doing better than you. There's always going to be somebody. So you have to be really careful of looking sideways. Measure your own success off your own success, okay? So when you're launching a product, how'd you do? How can you do better? Did you fail? It's okay if you fail. How are you going to take that failure and learn from it and make it better? When you get knocked down, are you going to stand back up and try again and not repeat the same mistake? Remember, that's insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. But how are you going to shift? How are you going to change to improve? You know, we talk about whys, we talk about the, employee to entrepreneur mindset, and this is the biggest one. How are you going to stand up when things don't go right? And how are you going to make changes? And how are you going to keep going? So you worry about you. The most success I have in my business is when I put my head down, I do my thing, I worry about me, I don't listen to what anybody else is claiming to have succeeded, having to be wherever they're saying they are, and I'm doing me. And the third thing is really watch your success or watch what you're feeling about other people, because your success is you're probably doing a lot better than most people are. And I realized that, and I could kick myself because some of the things I was really doing well at, I was measuring against other people, so I didn't feel I was doing that well at, and I shifted course. And so that was the worst thing I can do. But so it's been so interesting is I've been in this business now for about 1.5 years. And I've gotten to know a lot of really great people well. And people who are really successful, people who are still getting there, and of course people who are starting. I've met all spectrums. And what's so funny is the people who are doing really, really well, I've gotten to hear the stories. We sat down and, based on certain posts they put out that I remember because I felt like crap about a post they put out that made them look really awesome. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing well. And being able to talk to them now has been so funny because I hear the stories behind that post. I hear what was really going on. There was one person, what she told me, what she was going through, her business was crumbling, like literally falling apart. She almost had zero money, but yet if you would have read her Facebook posts and tweets and all of these things, you would have been like, oh my gosh, this she is killing it. And I feel like crap for this. So be so careful of this. You do you. You measure success of where you've been yesterday, a week ago, a year ago, a month ago. That's where your success lies. We all have our own journey. I think that was one of the hardest things for me to accept, was that I didn't have someone else's journey. So these people who became overnight successes or who catapulted from nowhere, I had to accept that my journey might not be there. I was still successful. I was still doing better than most. I was still making a living off this business, even though it wasn't as much as I wanted to make. I was still doing well. Yet I was comparing myself to what I felt were exceptions, but they weren't. They put the work in to get there. If you have kids, if you have a full-time job, if you don't have the budget that some of these businesses have, you have to accept that it's going to take a little bit longer, and that's okay. That's your journey. That's your story, and that's your success. As long as you're growing every year, every month, every week, look back. One of the things I do on social media is I take pictures of my followers so I can always remember, or my list, or the things that, my sales, all these certain things that mean something. And to see, it may not feel like you've gone that far, but when you look back, you're like, wow, I've really gone far. So to shift this mindset, this is more of, you got to get out of your own head, but worry about you. Worry about your own success. And that's where you're going to do really awesome. If you keep looking sideways, you're always going to deal with not enough. You're never going to be rich enough. You're never going to be going fast enough. You're never going to have enough followers, whatever it is. You worry about your own journey. You worry about your own success. You put your head down, worry about you, and I promise you, that's where your own success is going to lie. If it takes you 3 years to get there, it takes you 3 years to get there. But that's your own story and that's your own journey. So hopefully that helps. Don't worry about other people. I can't stress this enough. This will kill you in your business. It will absolutely kill you in your business. You've got to write your own story. And that's where success comes from. So as always, this is Erin Smith. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you have specific comments about shifting the mindset from an employee to an entrepreneur, please comment below. Comment on the blog, on the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. And I would love to know your stories. What are some of the stories? We all got to feel better about this. I'm going to be honest with you. What are some of the stories you have of how you thought somebody was killing it? You judged and measured your success based on what you thought they were doing. And when it came down to it, it was all not something you should have been doing. I would love to know those stories. Thank you, as always, so much for listening and watching. And this is Erin Smith, where I believe everyone's got it in them to start a business. You just got to get started.